Hello and welcome to Louise Singleton Creations. In today's video, once again, I'm going to be using cardstock barriers to create a child-themed table with a rainbow and cloud design. My granddaughter's 5th birthday was approaching and she had asked if she could have her bedroom decorated instead of receiving toys. And so, as a birthday gift, I decided to make Millie a beautiful table for her bedroom, and if you would like to see if she loved it, stay tuned till the end because I filmed her reaction. And it really needs to be seen. To create the borders which separate the resin, I'm going to be using thick black cardstock cut into strips of 4mm, which is the depth of the tabletop. If you've seen any of my recent videos, you'll know that this method is kind of like a new obsession, really. I can't stop doing it, so yeah, I hope you like it too, otherwise you might be getting tired of it by now. So the surface I'm using is an MDF tabletop with a kind of, an indentation in the middle. So it's raised at the edges and 4mm lower in the middle, which is why I cut my 4mm strips. And I've added 2 round table mats that I had to the base to make it thicker, and so that I could add the fixings for the legs and the screws had something more to go into, because the tabletop was really too thin to just add the legs straight to it. I also primed the MDF board by covering it with PVA glue and then giving it several coats. I think it was about 3 coats of white acrylic paint and also the red paint, as you can see there, all acrylic paint. Next, it was time to mould the cardstock into the shape of the clouds, which was really easy. The 300-gram cardstock is very easy to mould into shape, as you can see. And so, yeah, I just did some folding and some bending to just create random cloud shapes, and I had already made my arrangement earlier. I didn't film all of that because it took me quite a long time to get the sizes and positions just how I wanted, so I'm just demonstrating with one piece here, and then I will get the piece that I'd already all glued together and had ready to put on, because otherwise the video would have just been way too long. So next it's time for the cloud formation that I'd prepared earlier, and all I need to do with that is to glue it into position. I used PVA glue, and I used quite a lot. As you can see, I just poured it directly on and used a cheap brush to just glue under all the pieces, and then, just glue it into place. It's as simple as it sounds. Next, it was time for the rainbow, and I had 8 strips to create the 7 stripes of the rainbow, and I'm just bending them all at the same time to get the same curve on all of them, and it's just a case of applying them just like before. This time I put the glue down first and then just shaped the rainbow and fiddled around with it until I was happy with the shape and trimmed the edges. It was quite tricky and it didn't turn out perfect. The spacing and some of the lines were a little bit wobbly, but it's got a childlike quality, which is what I wanted anyway, so I could get away with it not being perfect. I did forget to mention before that the tabletop which I'm using, well, I'm calling it a tabletop. It doesn't have to be a tabletop. It could be used for anything really, but that piece of MDF was from Resin Pro, as are all the things I'm using today. The resin, the pigments, the surface are all from Resin Pro. But I'm not sure if they've still got that in stock. Last time I looked, I think they were out of stock, but yeah, that is from Resin Pro, and it worked really well to create the table. Here you can see me just applying a very shallow layer of transparent resin from Resin Pro with a paintbrush just to seal all those black pieces of cardstock at the bottom to the base, and then none of the coloured resin will leak to the neighbouring parts. Once that resin had cured, I was ready to add the clouds, and I'm using the interference powders from Resin Pro again. I keep repeating that, don't I? But everything is from there. Anyway, it's the interference purple, gold, and I think it was blue. And you can't really tell the difference, but you can. When you look at it from different angles, you can see the difference between the different colours. I just wanted that slight difference between the clouds so that you got the little bit of depth and they weren't all exactly the same. So yeah, it's just, as you can see, a case of pouring it in. You do need to try not to pour it too deeply, because if you do, like I did, you can see here I'm having to spread it to the next one. If you pour it too deeply, it starts to go over the top of the borders. And so, yeah, it's just something to be aware of, especially when you're using very thin strips like I've used. Next, I added the resin with the blue mica powders in, and really what I should have done was allow the clouds to cure before I added this layer, but I was impatient, and it's like colouring in. I wanted to just colour it all in, and I didn't wait, and I should have done. You'll find out in a second why I should have waited. But after adding the blue sky, I did leave it to cure before colouring in the rainbow. And do you see what I'm talking about now? Yeah, there it is. It started leaking over the edge into where the cloud was. So I just took a pipette and removed that blue that had escaped. And that was because, as I said before, it's very easy to pour too much in, and that's what I did. It went a bit deep and found the lowest point and leaked over the edge. So once it was all poured in, I just took my needly pointy tool, I can't think what it's called, and just blended that dark blue and light blue together a little bit, because I didn't want it to look quite as obvious as it did before. Usually over time the two colours would blend together, but I didn't want to risk it, so I gave it a bit of a helping hand. For the rainbow, I used transparent pigments so that there would be kind of a contrast with the mica powder which I used for the sky and the clouds. I just wanted the rainbow to have a different effect, so that's why I didn't go for mica powders. And I'm showing at the side which pigments I'm using. Most of them were the Pebeo pigments, but I didn't have a yellow or a indigo, so I used different things for those. So yeah, just check the picture at the side for pigments. Everything will be linked in the description. I really enjoyed making the rainbow. It just brought the whole thing to life, adding all those colours. And I was thinking all the time about what my granddaughter's reaction would be when she saw it, and just hoping that she would love it. And I can't wait to see it in her newly decorated bedroom. I think it might look really nice. Okay, so it's the next day and it was ready to add the top coat. And the resin I am using is ArtPro Deluxe, and it's a really good resin for using as a top coat because it's really strong and it's supposed to be good for coating because it doesn't scratch and it's hard wearing. So I thought that one would be good. But you can use any you like, really. I could have used the same resin I used for the rest of it, but I decided to use that one just because I had it and I know it's supposed to be really good for coating. After I finished filming, I did actually mix up a little bit more because there wasn't quite enough. But it did look really good in the end. As you can see, at the base of the rainbow, there are a couple of spots where the colours leaked from one to the other. So do be really careful to make sure your black, your borders, your black strips of cardstock are glued to the neighbouring pieces really well, because I think that's what happened there. I think they found a little bit of a space to leak, and that's why I got the yellow going into the orange and the green going into the blue, just a little bit. But I think I got away with it. It's not too bad. Okay, so it's the next day again, and now it's time to add the table legs. I kind of struggled to get it into shot, but you get the idea. The table legs, I got them off eBay. And they came with the fixings, which I'd already screwed onto the base. I did that before adding any pigment, just in case there was any problem with the screws going through too far. I didn't want to screw anything onto the bottom once the resin was done, you know, because I didn't want to ruin my resin work. So that's why I did it all at the beginning and just screwed in the legs at the end. So now it's all finished and I was really happy with how it turned out. I think it's a great technique for making children's furniture. It keeps it nice and simple and you can have all those lovely bright colours and it's just really fun. So we're about ready to see my granddaughter's reaction. I took it to my mum's house because we were all having a get together there for her birthday. And so yeah, let's see what she thought to her table. And what do you think it could be?
I don't know.
Wow!
Oh,
Table.
yeah, it's a table. Do you like it?
And what's it got on it?
A rainbow.
A rainbow!
Lots of
Wow!
clouds around it.
Yeah, do you like the clouds?
Yeah.
What's the best colour in the rainbow?
Pink.
Yeah. Well, I'm glad you like it. Can I have a kiss?
Yeah.
Come on then. Mwah. Thank you. So, do you think she liked it? I think children's reactions are so funny, they're so unpredictable. I loved the way she just immediately looked under the table to see what was underneath. Yeah, I think she takes after me. I always look underneath and explore things. So yeah, maybe she gets it from me. But yeah, I think she loved it and hopefully it will fit into her new bedroom really nicely. So that brings us to the end of the video. It was short and sweet today, but I thought it was a fun one. I loved making that table and it was so easy. I think most people could have a go at this one. So if you haven't already subscribed and you would like to, please do, and that will help my channel a lot. And I will see you again very soon. Bye for now.